before we settle in with a little meditation and some centering, one thing I thought of is I happen to be looking, I have a Zentangle app, and I did come across a tangle that I've never seen before. I've never drawn it before, never nothing. So we could explore that together. I don't think it would take the whole class, but we could do that. And then I thought another option was that those of you who know Zentangle and have the names of a bunch of them under your belts, we could kind of call out and all of us, just create a tangle together based on ones that we know and kind of see how we want to put them together. So that was another idea that I had. I'm open to other thoughts if people have any other ideas of things you'd like to do. Does one of those things sound preferable? Or we could probably do both. We could learn this new one that I've
I
not seen
think the new
before.
one sounds fun.
Let's learn the new one, and then probably we'll have time and we could do a kind of everyone ad lib together. Okay. All right, great.
Mhm.
What kind
So
of tile do you want to start with?
I have just a plain white square, and I'm going to use the brown pen because that's what we have in this kit, and just a pencil and tortillon. So
So it's the dark brown, not the,
just the dark brown.
okay. I somehow have a lot of another color brown,
Oh, okay.
like baby poop brown.
Mm, that was very descriptive. Thanks for that.
Ugh,
I'm going to mute you now, Michelle.
a weird color.
I'm going to
Okay.
mute you. Goodbye. And Shelly, I'm going to mute you too. Nothing personal. So let's find a comfortable seat. Feet on the floor. You can place your hands in your lap. You can close your eyes if you care to. Let's take a deep breath together in through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, in through the nose and out through the mouth. One more time, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Continue breathing in this deep and intentional way as you check in with the various parts of your body, maybe a neck roll, tipping your ear to your left shoulder and your chin to your chest, your right ear to your right shoulder, and letting your face tilt towards the ceiling and back around. And then you can reverse, go in the other direction. Just let cricks and cracks come out. Roll your shoulders up towards your ears and then back down away. Do that a couple times more. And then reverse the direction, go back and then up and forwards. And then come back to neutral. If you'd like to take a twist in your seat, go ahead and do that. And shake your legs out. You can give your thighs a little massage. I like to kind of like bang on my legs a little bit with my fists. Roll your ankles around. Wiggle your toes. Just get comfortable and let go of whatever was in your day that you don't need to hold on to anymore. And my lack of preparation tonight actually gives us an opportunity to kind of approach a tile the way you might if you weren't in a class with me or some other Zentangle teacher. It's sometimes challenging to say, okay, I want to sit down and work on a tile, but where do I start? So going to the tangles that are familiar and comfortable for you is a great place to start. And then kind of it tends to unlock the creative juices and lets you then free up to explore and be creative. So this is kind of how the process would go if you were on your own. I am going to teach one, but I'm learning with you. So we're kind of going to figure it out together. I'm going to spotlight mine so you can see it nice and clear and large. There we go. All right. So this one, oops, somebody's unmuted. If you're unmuted, go ahead and mute, please.
Oops. Sorry.
That's okay. Great. And you can always unmute if you have questions or need anything. Just trying to create a nice, peaceful environment for everyone. So we're going to begin. So we've settled in. We can express gratitude for our beautiful tools that we have, this very fine tile, and the pens are the best out there, and these cute little Zentangle pencils and our blending tortillon. We have these cool tools that we get to use and be creative with. We have this time at the end of a long, hard day to relax and do something for ourselves. I want to remind everyone, myself included, to be kind to yourself, to reserve judgment, to just be open to the process and not worry so much about the product that is not important for the purpose of our time together this evening. It's about how we feel when we're doing it, and hopefully a calm and peaceful headspace, not a judgmental, self-doubting space. We don't want that. So after we have settled in and expressed gratitude, that's appreciation and gratitude together as one word. We're going to begin with our next step, which is our 4 corner dots. About a 1/4 inch in. And after our 4 dots, we're going to connect our dots with a border, turning our tile, keeping our hands nice and comfortable. Don't worry if it's a straight line or a wiggly line. Don't worry if it's even with the other one. Does not matter. Normally after this, we would draw a string, but I think we're going to forego that step this time and fill most of the tile with this tangle that we're going to explore together called IDOZ, IDOZ. I don't know. This is new. I don't know when they came out with it. I must have missed it, but I'm excited to try it. It's really pretty when finished. So let's see what happens. So IDOZ, IDOZ is the name. Anybody know this one? Anybody try this one yet? Heard of it? Nope. Okay. So here we go. IDOZ, according to the step out that I'm looking at on my phone, is a teardrop shape, and we're going to make them nice and big. And think of the base of the teardrop is going to be towards the middle, but don't worry too much about it. So I'm going to put a nice teardrop shape here. Okay, so just for proportion's sake, you can see how large that teardrop is. It's pretty big. Okay. It's going to be a series of these, and each one is going to nestle in underneath the one that came before. So I'm going to go to the right of the one I just drew, and I'm going to put another one that tucks in and behind this first one. So I'm going to start here, and it's going to loop around and come like that. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing with the one that I just did. Oops, sorry, I kind of fell off the page there. So we've got 3. She's showing 4 in the step out. So the 4th one I'm going to put here like this. Okay. I'm guessing you can probably add more. Now that I'm looking at it, I probably would have placed them a little bit differently, but we're along for the ride here. We're just going to see what's going to happen. So then we're going to put an attached aura on the left-hand side of each one of these teardrop shapes. So it's going to start a little bit of ways away down at the bottom here. And it's going to curve up and then touch the tip where it meets up at the top there. Same thing on the left-hand side of each one. Okay, so we're getting this pretty petaling that's happening here. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And just turning your tile as you go. Just make your way around the shape. All right, and then we're going to do one more round. So let's again go back around on the left-hand side first. And in some of them she did a couple, but I'll start with one on each side again to go around. Okay, and then again on the other side. Okay. I like these kinds of tangles because they stand alone. They don't need to be confined by a string or anything. So I find that these sorts of tangles are a good starting point when you're working on a tile. You put one of these down and then a lot of things can grow out of it. And maybe that's how we'll approach this as we go through this tile. Okay, so then we are going to divide up the inside of these teardrop spaces. So it's not totally clear to me whether we start with a line down the center. I think let's start there. We'll do it how we want. So I'm going to divide down the middle. And then maybe 1 or 2 divisions on either side that kind of curve down and around, like echoing the shape of the teardrop that we drew. We're going to go ahead and do that for all of them. Depends on the size. You could do 1 or 2. I added 2 to this one. I think I might want to go back and add another one in here too. Okay, go ahead and turn your tile, do your next one. And that's the basic IDAS. So now we can embellish. We could, she adds some little, when I say she, it's Maria Thomas, who's one of the creators of Zentangle. This was her design, I believe. So that's who she is when I keep saying what she does next. Um, we could color in every other one. That's a little time consuming. So maybe we won't do that right now. But she also added like some little orbs that she almost all the way colors in, but leaves a little bit open. And they're like these little seeds or berries in the center, because it's very floral. Um, so maybe you want to add some of these little like seed pod things in here.
It looks like you're using a black pen there. Is that true?
Nope, still brown.
Okay.
You could use black if you want to. When you go when you multi-layer the brown, it starts to look darker. Plus the camera sometimes affects the what you're seeing. Somebody just said something, but I really could hardly hear you. Shelly, I can't hear you. I know you're talking, but it's like I can't tell what the words are. It's very unclear. Are you with your AirPods? You want to put it in the chat? So let's do a few more these little guys. And they could kind of escape out of the center a little bit. Let's see. I am randomly putting them in. Yes. Towards the center, but letting them kind of creep out a little bit. Totally random. Okay. So that's the basic, and we can shade it, but I want to add some more to this tile. I feel like there's a lot more that we can do. I'd like to hear from you what you think we should add. We could add things in the background. We could add things in these stripes that are here. What are some suggestions? We could make this as funky as we want to, as detailed as we might dare. Any ideas?
Maybe put some crescent moon like in the spots where they come together on the outside to get some like contrast.
Oh, sure. That's a good idea. So Amy says crescent moon, which is a great suggestion. So crescent moon is, I'll just show you on the back if that's a new one for you. You make this little, like a half moon shape, like a little ladybug on a line. And then you aura around the ladybug once, twice, however many times you want to. And it's a good way of adding texture and drama and contrast. So we can fit those in a whole lot of different ways. So let's start at these little intersections that are here between our IDA's kind of petal shape. So let's make this little curved line here and then fill in. And then we can aura once and twice. So let's start with that and do that all the way around and then see where we want to go after that. So turn your tile, go to your next little V, your little intersection, put that little curved line in there and color it in. And then let's do 2 auras for now. All right, turning your tile again. And my 4th one over here. Great, well, I think that looks lovely. Thank you for the suggestion, Amy. So I think actually we can keep going with this, with these crescent moons. Let's now make another aura around each one, make it a little bit bigger than the last. And let's put some of these little orb type things inside that aura that we just made, that 3rd aura. And you could, color them all the way in, except for a little bit in the center that we left blank, or you could fill in the center and leave a little white around the outside. I actually like that in this space. And I know it looks black on the screen. I'm still using the brown. So that's a cool effect. So let's go around and do that on all of them. And don't worry if your auras start to go outside of your border. That's okay. We can go all the way to the edge of the tile if we want to. So I'm nestling these in here, nice and cozy. And then I'm putting a little solid circle orb within each of the orbs that I drew. It's kind of like roe or caviar or something. Well, fish eggs. This is often how it goes with me with Zentangle. You get started without any particular plan in mind, but once you get going, the tile starts to, not to sound crazy, but talk to you, and tell you what it wants or needs. So sometimes it just becomes clear. Okay, and tell you what, let's do one more little aura now around what we just did, just to kind of give it a little bit more distinction. So again, I'm just auraing the aura. When you're wondering what to do next, aura it. Okay, super. Anybody have a thought on where you want to go next? What else do we want to add?
I don't know a particular name of something, but it feels like the center areas of each of the four are almost lying on top. And I love to have a way to kind of accentuate that 3D dimensionality.
I love it. Great. So let's put some striping in there to make it really pop, and then with shading we can make it stand out even more. So let's just do some little lines like this, and then we did some of this last week too, and then we just color in every other. So sometimes we call this striping. It's kind of a part of a knight's bridge, which is another tangle that's like a chessboard. And yeah, you can just put them in the centers. You maybe even want to throw one in randomly someplace else just for a little bit of interest. I don't know. Great. I love that. That looks awesome. So am just working around those little seeds that I put in there because I don't want them to get swallowed up. So I just kind of made my lines go around them. Great. So that was super suggestion. So even if you don't know the name of a tangle, if you can say, oh, it looks like it wants this, or how about something like that, then we can figure
It
out what.
may not be time yet, but I think some kind of grid tangle in the background might be nice.
Oh, I like it. Okay. Yeah. Let's find a space in your background where you have a little bit of room and want like Marcia, would you consider hollabow a grid tangle or no? You know, like the overlapping beams of wood kind of a
Not
thing.
a grid tangle, but it's cool.
I was thinking about like something more angular.
I was thinking about the thing that you draw that looks like little stones in each square.
Oh yeah, great. Let's do Inzeppel. Perfect. Thank you. Got it. Let's do it. Okay. So let's start by drawing a line kind of from the edge of this petal down to the corner here. We're going to start with some spoking lines. And then to just cordon off the area, I'm going to then make a line here coming out of this little guy over here and one over here. So we've created this little quadrant over here that we're going to put this tangle in. This is called Inzeppel. I'll write these all down for us when we're done so that you can add them to your repertoire. Some of them, they're going to be familiar. Lots of ones we've done before. Okay, so after we've kind of set aside this little area, let's make some more spokes that go from our existing tangle out to the edge. They can be random. Okay, and then I'm going to start to crisscross in any kind of way that you might want. So taking these kind of rectangular shapes that we had and intersecting them to make some more triangular shapes. Again, it's random. And just, as much as feels right to you, I'm going to stop there. So don't make it too dense because we're going to do something inside each of these shapes. So now we're going to go inside each one. I'm going to start with this little triangle over here because it's not interrupted by anything else. And I'm going to go around, I'm going to curve the corners and redraw inside that shape that got created. So the way the Zentangle creators talk about this is like trying to shove a peeled hard-boiled egg into a space. Like it has some give and it kind of spreads to fill the area. So we're going to go around and do that in every section. Also like a Zeppelin that had, those big helium filled or whatever they were filled with flying devices that had the straps around them and then the balloon would kind of bulge out from the straps. It's that kind of an idea that we're going for here. And when you come up to part of our shape that we've already drawn, you kind of go behind it. And take your time with this. I like how the brown pen, the richness of the color comes out as we slow down and reiterate these lines. And like Marcia said, you start to see these kind of, it's like a stone path that comes out. And sometimes I never know when it's going to happen, but sometimes you get these almost Jewish star shapes that come out from the crisscrosses. I can't control it, but I find them there often. Great. If you want to, depends on, if you like the little crisscrossing that happens in these interstices, or if you want to color them in, you can, or you can leave them as is. Both, I think, are pretty. By the way, Nan especially, we always talk about zhuzhing, when we're kind of like playing around with stuff. I actually saw the word in print in the Times last week. Zhuzh. Zhuzh.
I saw it also.
In the New York Times. I was like, well, there you have it. It's a real thing. So that was fun. Zhuzhing. Okay, wonderful. I really like that. Thank you, Marcia. What else have we got? What would we like to do next? Rebecca.
Well, I already started putting some shattuck in my stripes, in some of my stripes.
Ah, okay. Like we were doing that last week in on the striped pieces too. So shattuck is this kind of a basket weave. I'll show you on the back here between these two lines. So people do it different ways. I like to start with a line like this and fill this way, and then go in the other direction like that and fill this way. And the lines can be curved or straight. I usually curve them. And we just go back and forth till you fill the space like that. So let's find, yeah, if you have a nice space that's wide enough, we can put in some shattuck. I love shattuck. It's like, I'm sure I've said this and asked this 1,000 times. The Japanese artist who does the waves, I find that it ends up looking kind of like that. And I don't know if I'm going to do this on every, in a really regimented kind of way. I might kind of throw them in randomly wherever it feels right. Let's see, maybe one more over here. Take a moment and check in. Remember to breathe. Relax your shoulders. Relax your grip on your pen. Nice. I like that. You could add more. I just did one in each. What else? Anybody else have thoughts? Where are we going next? How about something else in the background? We could do,
Lullaby was a good idea.
you want to come back to Hollabow? Sure, we can do that. Hollabow is a favorite. I say that about all the tangles, I guess. No, I don't love them all, but we don't do the ones I don't like. All right, let's do the same thing, like make a little quadrant. So I'm going to do the same thing again, but instead of just a one-dimensional line, I'm going to give it an aura. So I'm going to start here in the biggest area and make a line from the petal to the corner. And then I'm going to aura that line. And you can decide how thick or how thin. I don't have a huge amount of space, so I'm keeping it pretty thin. And then I'm going to throw in some more spokes that kind of do the same thing. Little sets of lines, little aura'd lines that fan out. And I'm going to have another one right here where I still have a little space just so that it doesn't run into the next section, although if it did, that would be fine as well. I'm going to put one more like this here, and then I'm going to start to do the same kind of a thing, the same crisscrossing, but I'm going to make sure that every line I draw now goes underneath one of the ones that came before, and I have to lift my pen and draw behind to make it look like it's overlap. The one that came before is overlapping. So here I'm going to draw under this line here. So I'm going to go at it perpendicular, come to here, lift my pen, draw behind, and then imagine where it would keep going when it came out on the other side. Okay, so I didn't want to draw over the line that's already there. I want to go under it, which is really just not drawing at all. So I'm going to do it again to the line, lift my pen, draw behind, and continue. Okay, we can do that as many times as we want in as many different directions, whatever you have space for and feels good to you. Just take this nice and slow to think about drawing behind, drawing underneath one of the beams that's already there. Let's see. And just think about where they will fall nicely. How they'll divide up the space. You can see sometimes I kind of like draw in the air with my pen before I put the ink down to kind of see where I want to go. And then sometimes it's a fun game, like how many can I draw behind? And it's okay if in the end it doesn't match up exactly like where you started and where it comes out the other side. The eye makes it look the way it's supposed to. Now, Hollabow is really versatile. I'm going to show you a couple different things you could do. You could, this is fun actually. You could carry the Enzeppel through to the ones that are next door, like the Enzeppel was kind of infecting the Hollabow, and maybe we won't do that to all of it, just the ones that are closest to Enzeppel, like they just kind of snuck over. Or maybe we do it to all of them. I don't know. I kind of like that. I'm going to do another one. You can also color in the interstices of Hollabow, and that makes it very dramatic, very bold. So I'm going to do a little bit of that over here. I'll show you one more thing you could do. I mean, there's tons of options, but another really fun one, if you have enough room, this is tough in really small spaces. If you have one that's a decent size, you can make a little shape of, what the bigger shape is, and then connect the corners to get this sort of faceted detail. So here, this one's kind of rectangular, so I'm just putting like a little rectangle inside the shape that's already there, and then just connect the corners. So that's fun also. It's just these little details that just create interest and texture. What else? What else should we do? Again, it doesn't have to be the name of a tangle. You could be like, let's do something curvy. Let's do something organic. Let's do, anything. Any ideas?
You could do some flux.
Flux, I see, was it Marcia going like this of making a spiral? So I'm guessing that's printemps. Nan, what were you going to say?
I'm putting printemps in already. Yeah.
Okay, so in our last two quadrants, we'll do one filled with flux and we'll do one with printemps. I think that is great. And then we'll shade. Super. So flux, I think we did a little bit of flux last week. Yeah, it's a nice complement to this because it's that teardrop shaped leaf little thing that we do. So you can start anywhere. Actually, I'm going to start in this corner here and make a little teardrop. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't
Can
see.
you pull? Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
So I just drew this little teardrop here and a little vein in the middle, and then the other leaves just kind of grow out any which way. So then I'm going to come over here and add some this way and over here coming out of this corner. And they can layer in behind the things that are already there. Flux is very malleable. It fits, you can squeeze them anywhere you like.
It's flexible.
It's flexible. There you go. We Zentangle folk love a good pun.
Sorry to say, Micah, but the Harper clan needs to exit early, so we will see you soon, and we will be in touch about the thing that you asked us, but the answer is
What the answer is, or the answer is yes, did you say?
the answer is yes.
Ah, yay, great. Super. So yeah, we'll coordinate. Thank you guys.
Good night.
Night. So the cryptic thing we're talking about is the Lillian Harper clan are going to be our service leaders next week when it's Shabbat Your Way. And if you're interested and aren't already signed up for something else, I am teaching an art class. In preparation for Thanksgiving, we're going to make trivets. We're going to make mosaics on cork trivets out of beans and lentils and rice things. So, and a huge thank you to Shelley, who has this really cool bean store near her. So we're going to make bean mosaic trivets, which is going to be very fun. And I'm filling the interstices, the little spaces in between, with little orbs or coloring them in, however you like to embellish your flux. Go ahead and do that. Lovely. I like that a lot. It's a nice contrast to the other more angular background tangles that we were doing. And the other one that was thrown out was Printemps. So we'll go ahead and do that one too. That's the spiraling one that we did last week. So just pick a spot to start and spiral till you hit up against one of your other tangles and then stop. And then each subsequent spiral can kind of nestle behind the one that came before. Printemps is another great go-to kind of beginning, get you warmed up kind of tangle. It can stand alone and it can nestle in with other ones. So also very flexible, but it's not as funny with Printemps. And I'm letting my Printemps kind of bloop over the border. I kind of like the irregularity of it. I'm going back and putting some little ones in some orbs. While I'm hanging out here, I'm adding some more of those little seeds that we were playing with at the beginning. In a moment, we'll get to some shading, but I'll give you another minute. I'm going back around right now and zhuzhing. I'm adding a little weight to where these veined lines that we put down on the inside kind of meet up with the other ones. It's kind of like a little shading with my pen before we go in with the tortillon. I'm just thickening the line at the bottom a bit. Just adds a little drama. All right, let's shade. So you can put your pen down and grab a pencil. I have a different pencil. This one is very dull. So is this one. All right. This one is less dull. I have my pencil sharpener. Okay, so why don't let's start right in the center and darken the middle. In some ways, this is similar to the tile we were working on last week, similar kind of flower shape with these radiating lines. And it's often a tough moment when we start to put the graphite down over all of this beautiful line work that we just did, but it will.
Micah, you're off camera. Sorry. Can you slide up a little bit? Thank you.
Yep, sorry. I should move that camera to where my hand is. So I'm just shading in the center. And then going in to each of these lines a little bit. And where they start to overlap. So I'm going to start with that much and then see where we want to go from there. So you can take your tortillon and start to blend it a bit. The graphite moves in a very different way on the paper tiles than on the translucent ones. It doesn't travel as far. As always, gradations, keeping it darkest where we set the graphite down and then slowly pulling it out. So then we have a sort of mid-range gray and then till no gray. I'm just making my way around this shape. So that's got some nice depth. So now I'm going to turn to these little crescent moon guys that we put in the corners here, and I'm just going to darken around where they tuck behind our eye dots, this flower shape that we made. Okay, and once I've got a little graphite down, go back with my tortillon and blend that out a bit. And then I'm going to go and put a nice layer of graphite all the way around the whole shape that includes the our little corner crescent moon things that we made. So I'm kind of auraing this whole shape on top here with graphite, and then I'm going to go around and shade that, blend it into the background tangles a bit. This is just one way of shading. There are lots of different options. You could shade each of the background tangles individually, but I'm going to just play around with this right now. Okay, and then just go through the same steps after you have the graphite down that you want. Go ahead and shade with the tortillon. I'm over here in the printemps section now, and I'm kind of using the graphite that's just on the tortillon to shade some of the ones that are nearby, just to give them a little bit of roundness. Okay, now I'm heading over to the Enzeppel section now, and the same thing, you can use the graphite that's on the tortillon to go into the shapes that are nearby and kind of give them a little shadow too. Could do the same kind of thing with hollow bow. And when you come around to flux, same thing. So that looks pretty cool. Just some options if you have other tools nearby. I have this, it's not an actual gold jelly, I don't know, some kind of sparkly orangey thing. You could go in and add, some sparkle if you wanted to. If you had a white charcoal, maybe some highlights. And again, it's totally great if you don't have these too, but if you have other things to play with, you could always add. Also, sometimes the original lines get a little lost once we've done all this shading. So sometimes I like to go back around and reiterate the really definitional lines, which right now is going around kind of the outside of this shape that we just shaded. Maybe some of these interior lines need reiterating again. This would fall in the category of zhuzhing. But look at, just for a second, look at this one that I just redrew as opposed to the one next to it. It makes a difference. You can see it pops it out again. And it's nice to allow yourself the time to go back and do that. And you can be more intentional about the lines now that we know where we're going with it. When we first got started, I mean, none of us knew where we were headed. Who knew this was the thing we were going to make tonight? How cool is that? And we did it together. So I'm just finishing up this last section here, giving a little bit more love to my tile. All right. So let's just name our tile, all the tangles that we did. Let's write them on the back. So when you look back on this and you're like, oh, what was the name of that one? It'll be there for you. So let's turn it over. So we did, first of all, we learned how to spell zhuzh, which is exciting. So we did, the first one that we did was how did she spell it? Hold on, let me see. Idods. Does it have two D's? Idoz. I-D-O-Z. And then we did some striping. We put some orbs. We did a crescent moon variation, tangulation. We did Nzeppel. That's the hard-boiled egg one. We did Hollabow. We did a lot. Wow. We did Flux. And we did Printemps. And while we're on the back here, go ahead and put your name and the date. And I'm going to put Zentangle with Temple Sinai, class 2 for 2024, for fall of 2024. And then go back to the front, find a nice little spot and put your chop in wherever you like. Your chop is an initial or a symbol or something that identifies this tile as yours from the front. Because often we do a mosaic when we're in person, we put all of them together, and even though each one is unique and different, it's sometimes then hard to find which one was yours to begin with. So I'm going to take my spotlight off and we can take a look at how everybody did together. How'd it go for you? Feel free to unmute, share any thoughts. What'd you think? These look great. They're beautiful. Oh, so cool. I love them.
Thank you. Really lovely.
Yeah, was it okay? I felt like a kid who showed up without having done her homework, but but these look terrific. Really beautiful. Well done, everybody. Well, thanks for playing along.
Thank you.
I will see you next week
Thank you, Mike.
with a plan. We're going to use the bigger squares next week. I've never used them before, but that'll be, I saw Jane's look of excitement there.
Jane, I'll pick up my stuff tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you, Micah.
I'll send an emissary.
You're welcome. Everyone have a wonderful
Thank you.
evening.
And you as
Thank
well.
you.
See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.